At this point in time, the DA is now getting ready to leave the Mary Fitzgerald Square and head towards Luthuli House, where they will be passing by the ANC headquarters and later on be addressed by their leader, John Steenhuisen, on the core business of their march. But I'm now going to bring in Natasha Mazzone, who advises the DA leader on security matters and the former Shadow Minister of Public Enterprises. Natasha Mazzone, this March, you've been a Shadow Minister of Public Enterprises, the Eskom debt, load shedding. From your expertise as a Shadow Minister and also advising the DA leader now on security, what impact does load shedding have on the South African economy?
Well, I think that it's fair to say that South Africa is now in a full-blown security crisis. We see a massive increase in crime because we see a massive job loss, because businesses all around are having to close their doors. Small and medium enterprises, which our country thrives on, are being shut because they can't run day-to-day operations anymore. Big companies are having to reduce their staff because of the increase in the electricity costs. And what we need to see is an incentivization of renewable energy, which we've been calling for, let's be honest, since 2011. And an ideology, a political ideology, has now got us into this situation. That's why today we don't march on union buildings. We march on ANC headquarters because we want to say to the ANC, listen to us, sit down with us, listen to our ideas. We can show you from the city of Cape Town that our ideas work in practice and that we've got to put ideology aside and put South Africa first. So that is the prime reason we march today, is because South Africans cannot have 8 hours of load shedding every day. It's not only an inconvenience, it's going to cost you your job, it's going to cost me my job, and it's going to put this country in absolute chaos. Our biggest fear is a complete collapse of the grid, which, let's be honest, at this stage could really happen. And we've heard that from Andre de Ruyter and other people saying that unless we're incredibly careful, we could see a collapse in the grid. That will cause complete anarchy. So we've got to do everything in our power to take back our power, figuratively and literally. And our message to the ANC today is, you are the governing party now, but come 2024, you may not be. So you should listen to other political parties, because our ideas are good, they are workable. Put ideology aside, put South Africa first.
When you look at Eskom, what are some of the deep-rooted problems that you found when you were engaging with Eskom executives through SCOPA and when you were still the Shadow Minister of Public Enterprises?
State capture, state capture, state capture, state capture. That's what it all comes down to. It comes down to the core of corruption. There was a rolling door policy that they had going. So certain members would go from one public enterprise to the next just before they were caught out. And the actual idea of state capture was so diabolical in its reasoning, but so clever in its structure, that they managed to almost get away with it. But all it took was one person to talk out, because in a mafia syndicate, one person talks and the whole syndicate falls. So that's the problem in Eskom. It was the capturing, the state capture, and using Eskom as a cash cow to feed the government and corrupt officials.
The president now says South Africans must reject the 18% tariff. Pardon me, not reject, says he's advised the Eskom board and put in a proposal that it must halt the 18% tariff increase. What is the best way for South Africans to have this tariff increase put in abeyance in a legal matter going forward? Because just advising on that matter cannot be a decision the board takes.
No, absolutely not. As you know, the DA has gone to court to halt the increase that's coming. What the government needs to do is incentivize South Africans to use renewable energy. So to incentivize businesses to put up solar panels so that they don't have to use electricity when we're at 12 o'clock midday and at the height of our electricity use. Look at the sun above us today. Imagine if all these buildings around us had solar panels on their roofs or in their windows. They would be using solar electricity, thus making sure the base load stayed stable. So there are so many ways the government could incentivize the way we go forward. But what we need is we need Minister Natasha gone. We need Pravin Gordhan gone, because they've proved to us over and over again that no matter what we tell them, how many times we tell them, they won't listen. They are not interested in what the president has to say. They are not interested in what the opposition has to say. They don't seem to care that South Africans are spending 8 hours a day without electricity. So let's start getting experts in these fields. You know, politicians already have a bad reputation. So let's start getting back our reputation by bringing in some real experts in the field of electricity and in energy production, and put them in charge of these ministries and get people like Natasha and Gordhan out, so that we put ideology and political thinking aside and put South Africa first.
Natasha, not to bad for Minister Natasha, but the fellow is a former mine worker. He has worked within the electricity space before, so he has some sort of experience within the mining sector. And also, why gun for Minister Natasha to be removed when Minister Natasha does not control Eskom? Eskom may only go back to him now with the ANC resolution of the 55th National Conference, but also he has signed Window 7 of independent power producers, and it is not within his ambit to make sure that those IPP plants are built. It is the responsibility of the private sector, once it's signed them off, to make sure that they come on grid.
So firstly, how long did it take him to sign it off? How long has it taken him to get to the point where we're at now? He literally got to the point where he was told, listen, you have no choice. You have no choice left in this matter. It will happen, and it will happen now. I can tell you personally, as when I was Shadow Minister of Public Enterprises, Minister Natasha stopped me in the halls of Parliament, and exactly his words to me were, don't even bother bringing your private member's bill to me. I won't read it. It is not ANC policy. And I said to him, Minister, take my name off the bill and put your name on the bill. And he said to me, no, because your bill is too liberal. He wouldn't even look at a bill that I had tabled before Parliament. That is what is wrong with Minister Natasha. Let me tell you, as a person, if you meet him on the street, great guy. As a minister, we need an expert who really is in it for the people of South Africa and not just in the interests of his party and to further his political ideology.
Would the DA implement ANC policies if it were to come into power?
No, we'd implement DA policies.
Why do you expect ANC to implement your policies when you wouldn't implement this?
Well, you see, here's the thing. We know our policies are working because in the Western Cape, when you have stage 4 in Joburg, we have stage 2 because Alan Winde and Jordan Hill-Lewis have made sure that we've implemented DA policies. In Stellenbosch and Franschhoek, go and have a look at the solar panels that are going up. We can prove to you physically that our policies are working. So it's not just on paper, we've got the physical proof. So all we need is for you to give us the chance. And
DA is in power in Joburg, in Ekurhuleni, in Tshwane.
And what are we busy doing? We're busy.
You can't pay. You've got issues of finances in those municipalities.
We do, but that's coalition government. So get us out of coalitions. Give us a whole majority, and we'll be out of those problems. So I believe that people like you, I hope, and many other South Africans are going to realize that the way forward in 2024 is to give the DA full majority so we can implement these policies.
You're lobbying me right now to vote DA.
I am so lobbying you.
But on a more serious note, last time we went to Luthuli House, there was a friction between the DA and the ANC. Right now, ANC Youth League members are gathering there. What can South Africans anticipate, and particularly knowing of the volatile political situation and history this country comes from? When the IFP marched to Shell House, there was bloodshed many years ago when former President Nelson Mandela was still at the helm. South Africans don't want bloodshed. They want solutions to this crisis.
Look, South Africans are a peaceful nation. There's no doubt about that. We're not into war. South Africans don't want war. You can see this is a peaceful gathering. We have told the ANC it is a peaceful gathering. We do not come looking for a fight. We come offering solutions. We are not going to antagonize the ANC. We are not going to antagonize the ANC Youth League. That they're there is great. I hope to see some of my chums, say hello to them, but I certainly hope there is no violence because it's not necessary. We have got past that stage. There should be, when there's a crisis like this, violence begets violence. It's not necessary. And if the ANC does become violent, it will be so unnecessary because we come in peace and we expect the ANC to accept our bona fide in how we arrive at their headquarters.
I saw they're ready with shamboks there at Luthuli House.
Well, I'd love to see the person who tries to shambok me.
You're going to deal with them?
Well, they won't reach. That I know for sure. They won't be able to reach.
Thank you very much, Natasha Mazzone, who comes from the Democratic Alliance. We'll bring in one of the South Africans who is part of the recruitment agencies. What are you experiencing as a person in charge of recruiting South Africans into the workplace?
The jobs have actually fallen. And as this placard says, load shedding sheds and is killing jobs. Do you know that the number has increased by more than 50% in terms of people looking for jobs? We now find that even skilled people are becoming desperate and they're willing to take anything because their livelihoods are threatened. 8 hours a day without electricity, companies cannot function that way. They need labor hours. And labor hours is what keeps their businesses afloat. So many jobs are being shed because of load shedding. You know, and I speak also from my own experience within the corporate market. What used to take me 2 days to sort is now taking me 2 weeks. So that is the extent of the labor hours that is being affected. I've had candidates tell me that their companies have sliced their salaries by half. So load shedding is even shedding salaries. It's shedding salaries. It's messing with people's livelihoods and ultimately their lives. It messes up our happy index. So we don't even find the happy employee anymore. We're finding somebody that is doing a job for half his salary. And where does staff engagement then come in? So yeah, as the corporate market, we really are battling.
Thank you very much. Those are the words of Natasha Mazzone, and also one of the South Africans involved in the recruitment market, in the labor brokering business, in getting South Africans those jobs where they are already earning peanuts through to labor brokers. The DA is now getting ready to march to Luthuli House. I did earlier on see Ngababanga, who leads the DA in the Eastern Cape province. We've not yet seen Solim Simanga, who leads the DA here in Gauteng, as they march to the Luthuli House. My colleague Natasha Piri is there. We have seen those visuals of ANC Youth League members carrying their shamboks, but historically you have seen that the DA marching to Luthuli House has descended into violence and chaos, which landed the now regional treasurer of the ANC in Ekurhuleni, Silas Koko, with a 15-month jail term.